Hello and welcome to another episode on this podcast series called Leadership Connex, the future of banking, where I, Roshan Puvaya, am speaking to some of India's future bankers, the chief technology officers, the CIOs, the tech guys behind digital banking. My guest today is V V Balaji, the chief technology officer of ICICI Bank. Balaji, welcome to this podcast series.
Thanks, Roshan. Thanks for calling me.
Yeah. So, we're talking about this future of banking. And we're at an exciting inflection point, aren't we? From computerization in the 1980s to AI now and, bots answering your banking call even before a human does. In your experience as the CIO of a leading Indian multinational bank, how do you see the future of banking shaping up?
Future of banking would be more, it is moving more towards non-people connect. The digital is pretty good.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the branches are not there. It's not like that. So, even today, if you take the entire banking sector, only single-digit percentage of their transactions happen through the branches. But as we go on in the future, even that percentage will not go down to a great extent. It's already in single-digit. It cannot go below that. So the branches would be one of the huge touch points which will be there as far as this one is concerned, as far as the banking is concerned. That's one point I want to say. The second point I would like to say is that there is a scope for lots of banks in the country. So that way you are not going to see only 3-4 banks. There will be plenty of banks would be there. But whether Fintechs, will it replace banks? The bank is about trust. The liability with asset business, you can take loan from anybody, but you will not put your money in a place where you don't trust. So bank is a trust business, and creation of a trust is a very long-term act. It's not a short-term act. So that way, though Fintechs can disrupt the payment space, Fintech can disrupt a little bit of loan space. The liabilities part is where the banks come into picture.
But isn't that where a partnership with Fintechs would probably work well for you because for the reach?
Yeah, but it will be Fintechs not to be seen as a competition but as a co-option. I would say that you compete but still you play with them. So there are lots of Fintechs, all banks deal with. It's not that we don't deal with Fintechs. Lots of banks deal with Fintechs, and that will continue for years to come. There are specialized areas where Fintech will come into the picture, and banks would be the backbone as far as they are concerned. So that will remain in the future as well.
No, so just following up on my previous question, in the 80s when computerization began to happen, there was a huge chaos and hangama in the banks. Everyone was like, we'll lose our jobs and computerization is going to take away our jobs. And now, 30, 40 years later, we are at that same inflection point. AI is coming in and there's this whole thing that maybe bankers will become redundant. Do you see that happening?
Definitely in 80s, if people have said that there would be reduction in people, from 80s till now, every year, bank has been net adding people. I'm not just talking about our bank. All banks have been net adding people. They are not reducing. So there are some jobs will go, definitely. But it will be substituted by some other jobs. So I think as long as the population grows, and if you see it from the other side, when if I talk about the entire economy itself, Indian economy itself, as it is growing, every aspect of with the increase in financial inclusion, every aspect of banking, every aspect of GDP would be represented by a bank. If I see it that way, so as the economy is growing, the need for bank actually is a little bit more than what it is today. Every year as the economy improves and financial inclusion keeps on increasing, I think banking will be there to stay as long as we can think about it. Even with so much of disruptions happening, the core banking is not disrupted.
Right. But what's your take on AI and banking? Where all can you use AI?
There are lots of areas where we can use AI where AI can power some of the decisions. AI can power lots of repetitive tasks. AI can power lots of not direct advice. I wouldn't say, but I wouldn't like it if I'm investing my personal money. I would trust a person, not the AI to advise me, but there are lots of AI which can help people. This one, AI can bring down the language barrier. With so many languages in the country. AI, very shortly, a customer can talk in X language, we can reply back in Y language. So that particular thing, it's not possible across for like all India banks, like all the banks whom you are talking about, all India banks. It's very difficult to this one with multiple languages. Though English is the lingua franca, a few languages in each of the states they vary. Some languages people will speak, but the problem is AI will bring down those barriers. Tomorrow document reading, mortgage document reading, or any other documents reading in multiple languages is not possible. AI will cut down all these things.
Like the terms and conditions in your banking contracts. I mean, I'm sure AI can help read that in a second.
100%. Okay. But having said that, the terms and conditions are because of, I mean, you would have seen so many people, so many cases on banks and vice versa, which have happened in so many years that need to be protected from the. At the end of it, Roshan, we are dealing with public money, and we have to be true to that, and some of the safeguards we need to take with reference to the public money would apply there.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up security, because I think that's one area where banks now really have to be very careful. So with these shifts in technology that's happening, what safeguards are you putting in place? Like, maybe if I have to take the example at your bank itself, what safeguards do you have in place for customer data, consumer data, and their money, of course?
I will just talk about the banking industry itself, not just ICICI Bank. I can I want to assure you that all of us are safe. That much I can tell you. The banking system is safe in the country, not because there are multiple measures India has taken to make the banking system safe. I would say I will start from the regulator, then I will go down to this one. The payment system, if at all you use your cards in some of the countries, this one, maybe US, if you use your card, you will feel very unsafe, because there's no two-factor. India introduced two-factor long back. Not just the two-factor, but I'm saying in each and every payment, this one, there are process level controls, there are system level controls which are there. So that way, payments are all safe in India compared to many other places. And the digital inclusion, with the JAM Trinity, Jandan, Aadhaar, and mobile Trinity, we have made the banking also very, very safe. Like all your mobile apps. Because I'm not here to just talk about ICICI Bank, I'm talking about the entire industry. It is actually very safe compared to a person coming through internet banking. Not that our internet bankings are all not like that, but I'm saying there are perception that using of mobile phones is a little bit unsafe compared to this one. From that point of view, I'm saying that all the digital guidelines which RBI had issued had lots of safeguards for the banks to be taken. And banking, we have excellent identity and access management solutions. We have firewalls. I mean, we can talk about what kind of security. Those are all tools and other things, whatever we have got to secure the people's this one, with access management, with so many other things. We are securing the data of the customer. It's if you have seen in the world where data intrusion into the systems of the banks globally, I think India has had far less incidents compared to the peers globally. That much I can tell you, that we are a little bit in a safe zone.
That's true. We are probably one of the safest banking systems in the world. That's there. But we also have probably some of the smartest hackers in the world. And if you've seen the kind of frauds that have been happening, especially with AI now, where they can completely clone your voice and everything. How do you see that playing out? I mean, do you think that's going to be a big...
It's a danger question, no questions about that. But within the bank, I'm saying we don't have a process where a phone call can make can get you anything cleared. It's all system driven. Nothing is human intervention from that point of view. If you use mobile banking, it's end to end completely. There's no human involved, or there's no what should I say, customer voice involved. We don't store customer voice per se to, if somebody impersonates, I'm going to take money from your account and give it to somebody else. So from that point of view, banking with this one, but it's a huge concern for everybody, not just for the banking, every organization, every establishment. With so much of AI in the wrong hands of the hackers and fraudsters, it can create havoc. There's no question about that. But when you have a knife, it can cut the vegetables as well as it can.
True.
It can do the other things as well.
Yeah. So especially when talking about AI over here, you also have so much of customer data. Now AI needs data to train on. Sometimes it can go a little beyond just the basic data and maybe go after PII, personally identifiable data as well. So are there any safeguards you have there to prevent that happening?
I don't know. I'll tell you this one. See, if you really think globally, who are all the players you think, I mean, it's a counter question, but still, who are the players who think does analyze the data and give you the options what you want and all? E-com players.
E-com players, yes.
All e-com players. We have more details than any of the e-com players.
Okay.
Has any bank ever done that? Right. So banks don't. I'm not saying that e-com players misuse the data, but the banks have responsible corporate citizens. I would say we don't use it because we know everything. We know what you earn. We know what you spend. You know whether you have shortage or not. We know everything.
Exactly.
But we don't use it from that point of view. Maybe you may have some
cross-selling,
some calls and some mis-selling. That will vary from culture of the organization to organization. But the large scale misuse of data by the banks, I don't think have happened anywhere. I mean, there's a method to it. It's not by accident. It is like that. There could be one or two rogue players also who may be doing that, but that's not happened. What is happening is some pushy calls or something like that with some greedy people start by exploiting the system. But other than that, the banking system per se is not there. And definitely I can talk about our bank. Our bank, we don't misuse the data of the customers.
Right. And of course, you have the regulator, and I think the Reserve Bank of India is probably one of the toughest regulators in the world.
They are very responsible regulators. I'll put it this way.
Right.
They get into everything. They get into this one. You require a regulator who sort of, if you see the global crisis which happened, subprime crisis, as well as post-COVID also, the management of the system. I think to be fair to our regulators, they have handled it very well. They have handled it very well. It's not easy.
So do you think they are actually encouraging growth? Are they playing catch up with the technology that's happening? Or are they kind of stifling growth because there's so much more that can happen?
They are not stifling growth. That I can tell you, they are strict, which they have to be. There's no this one. They have to be strict, and they know what they are talking. It's not that they are just like that saying, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. They listen to us. they give. Of course, they are very strict. It's like meeting your maths teacher. You have to get all the problems correct. You all the answers correct. But they are not wrong.
Okay. So just shifting up. There's so much of data, and then now large-scale data centers and all of that to store customer data. And climate change is something that everyone's talking about now. How do you see sustainability as a factor in shaping the banking sector? Like
sustainability, all the banks have at least I can talk about ICICI Bank. We have done quite a bit of work. In fact, we were the first one to publish the ESG report a few years back. I mean, before anybody could think of. Sustainability is one of the areas where we as a bank have been concentrating and been working on. There are various areas in data centers, for example. 10% of our power in one of the data centers, we created a solar so we give it to the electricity board and we get back the power. It's a green. We generate solar per ourselves in some areas and use it for non-data center purposes in data center. All your lightings, office running and other areas. So we have been working on that particular thing, and our what power utilization. That's another area where we work on the data center. Since you are specifically talking about data center. Area is the what they call power efficiency. What's it called? Power user efficiency. PUE they call it. This one. PUE as low as possible is a good electricity management. Otherwise, you are splurging electricity on various other things.
Right.
Decent. This one of 1.4 to 1.6 is a benchmark for the kind of enterprise data centers.
Right.
And in all our centers, we achieve that.
Okay. So, as the Chief Technology Officer, what have been your biggest challenges, and if there was some advice you would give future bankers, the next generation of bankers coming in, what would that be?
Okay. What are the major challenges is keeping up with what's happening always and at a speed. It's not that you can't do a heart transplant when one is running a marathon.
Right.
So you have to run every day and you have to keep changing. That's the huge challenge what we have. And second, which is a question of resiliency, and one on the security. Security, we are always on guard. We can never be satisfied that we are good. Any amount of this one, there is a counter this one people work on. Okay. Like if we talk about encryption, people talk about quantum computing and breaking the encryption. I mean, this one. So the next this one would be quantum encryption, quantum proof encryption kind of things which are coming. Quantum computing proof encryptions. So every day it's not you can't sleep any day thinking that everything is going to be fine, because by the time you wake up, some things have changed globally. This is the challenges I would say would have. The advice for the future bankers I would say is that when you build architecture is for a brownfield is different, for a greenfield it's completely different. On existing, you can create a nice architecture, but no architecture is relevant for eternity. Any technical architecture, it has its shelf life.
Right.
So, and creation of architecture is creating like a metro project in Mumbai. It should have been done 20 years back, 30 years back.
Right.
Now it's a city is overgrown. Doing a project itself will create lots of disturbances. But better late than never. But that's a issue is, it is like that you have to anticipate what is going to happen for next 5 years. You can't be sitting on whether you are doing well today, everything is all right, hunky-dory. That's not the way technology for the banks will run, because more than 90% of the transactions in the industry is being run through technology.
Right.
But human interaction is very less. Even the 10% also has got back-end technology. So there is nothing, even 10, not 10%, I'm saying single-digit percentage in the industry. I'm not talking about the bank. A single-digit percentage of transactions in the industry is also backed up by technology. So almost 100% of the banking transaction is running on technology, and it is running. It's growing. It's running continuously 24/7. But if there is a architecture change you need to do 5 years later, today is the day to start.
Right. Okay. So now that brings me to one more question. As a chief technology officer, you're always on your toes, always looking at, what's happening next, what's the next big tech that's coming. But what do you do to unwind? What does a CTO do to unwind?
No, it's all individual. This one, any professional who goes through this one goes through. I run marathons, so I practice quite a bit of time. So which means my weekend mornings are gone. I'm doing long runs practices. Other than that, I read books, I watch TV, cricket, this one, movies, whatever.
Okay.
Spend time with family.
Excellent. That brings me to actually our next bit, which is the rapid fire round. So since you talked about your marathon and reading books and all, I think let's just quickly go through rapid fire. You can, whatever comes to mind, just let me know.
I will have a firewall. So.
Okay. 3 people you look up to in life, from legendary businessman to family. It can be anybody. 3 people you look up to in life.
I will say 2 of my bosses, and other than the family, because of course family you look up to your parents always. So that's very cliched, and I'm not talking about that, and that is granted.
Okay.
Outside the family, if I have to choose 3 people, 2 of my or bosses, I will not take their names because other bosses will be behind my back. 2 of my bosses, and one known person who put me up a little bit more, brought in a little bit more spiritual into my mind. Not a guru, but ordinary person who settled my this one, who sorted out my thoughts. So I will say 3 of them. I'm not naming any of them.
Okay, perfect. You mentioned books. So your favorite book that you recommend every banker should read?
Every banker should read. I read, when I said books, I read novels, I read literature, I read this one both in Tamil, and Tamil is my mother tongue, Tamil and English. That's it. So I don't read any banking books.
Okay, good. It's something that diverts the mind. A quotable quote or a line from a movie that you always turn to?
I have nothing this one, because in my office life, I can't quote from a movie. Because I see lots of Tamil movies. I can't quote that in Mumbai. So I don't generally quote from movies. So
okay. Not even when you're like instructing your subordinates, like Nordara Sanna, Nordara Sonna Madri.
With a few of the Tamil colleagues, I do that.
Okay. Okay. AI or human intelligence? What will guide the future of banking?
Human intelligence. Coupled with AI is a tool, I would say, but human intelligence will always win over AI.
Okay.
But without AI, you should ask this one, whether AI will win or human intelligence will win, or human intelligence using AI which will win, the third one will win.
Okay. Human intelligence using AI. Perfect. If you weren't a banker or a banking chief technology officer, what would you be?
I've handled multiple functions, so that way I'm more of a functional guy. If I read your question, without a corporate life, what would have been? I don't know where I would have ended up. I've not even thought about that.
Okay. As a banker, the first call that you make when in crisis?
It depends on the crisis. There are few of my team members, this one, or I have 1% for one type of crisis. I will
Okay.
put it this way.
Okay.
Like, but not the functional guy.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the function who is in charge. But I have some people in my team who are general shooting in the dark experts.
Okay.
So I call them whenever there is a crisis, because in most of the time in crisis you should have multiple. You like a Sehwag like player as well as Dravid like player. So I call the Sehwag like player, go and
Okay.
hit and come back. So there are 2-3 people go to my people who are there with me in crisis. Outside the office crisis, both created and solved by my wife. So
She's the crisis
she
manager.
is the crisis manager for me.
Right. Your favorite payment method? UPI, credit card?
UPI.
UPI. And UPI is the future?
UPI is it's already there. It's a present also. It's a
Okay.
present also, and it'll maybe the form may change a little bit later. We don't know what about this one. But UPI is here to stay.
Right. Okay. And one last question. Rank in order of how you appreciate their business philosophy. These 4 people: Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk.
Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, I would put them up in the order. Then Bill Gates, then Jeff Bezos. Not that I don't this one. Since you have asked me to put order, why this one is Steve Jobs. Why I rank him high is he created a need which nobody expressed. This one. It's not that the idea of iPhone actually disrupted the market. This one. And Elon Musk for being completely innovative. I mean, there's no, you can't get an innovator. So it's a very, very tough call between. So I place more towards innovators than business creators.
Exactly. Perfect. And with that, Balaji, thank you so much for joining us on financialexpress.com for this podcast series. And we'll be bringing you many more such episodes in this Leadership Connex, the future of banking, with more CTOs, CIOs, and the tech guys behind digital banking in India. Stay tuned to financialexpress.com.